company just reached out to you to help them create a dashboard using their historical data. Your client needs you to help them track if continent sales is above or below target. Use Power BI Desktop to connect and transform the raw data, create relationship, create DAX measure, and design a very clean dashboard. So let us see how we can actually help this company to achieve their aims and objectives. Let us go through this project before we start the creation. So right here we have KPI cards that shows if we are doing well or not. And we have this part of the dashboard that is actually a custom chart that is not available in either the marketplace or as a default. So we're going to learn how to create this together, so to actually see if we meet our target or not. As you can see, we have all the target down. We didn't meet the target of $50 million US. Okay, let's see if we meet the target. How is it going to look like? Now you can see we meet the target here and we met the target here as well. So the Europe and North America met their target of $50,000 million above, and the Pacific does not meet the target. We still have it red and we have the arrow down. So this is what is not possible in with the default charts we have. So we're going to learn how to do that. Not just this, so we actually try as much as we could to see what are the products and the sub-product category that contributed to whatever we have right here as positive development. So we can actually switch between the tops and whatever it is. So now we are seeing the top 3, we are seeing the top 2. If we just go to top 2, as you can see right here, and we can actually have the top 6 to see what are the top 6. So if you want to see it better, you can actually put it on focus mode and you can see what product you really have on your list. So can you see what it is right now? So if this is something you want to learn, I think you have to actually give me the attention to show you how I got all this created from the scratch. Now let us see how to create those KPI cards we have right here. So what we need to do right now is to actually start to create our measures that will be very eligible to have this created. So coming back right here, I'm going to get this off. We don't need this. I'm going to have to delete it and remove it away from here. So I am going to enter data, so to create another table to organize all my measures right in. So here I'm going to call this all measures. So I have to load it into my Power BI. So successfully loaded. Here we have it, all measure. So before we do that, let us go to this particular part of the data and let's see what it is that we have here. So we have this table, and inside this table we have the quantity purchased. Repeatedly we can have one customer to enter into our store for like more than 10 times in a day. It is going to be recorded right here. So we have another table called product. So what we have right here is the unique list of all the products that we sell, and we have its record right on our fact table right here. So for we to create to calculate and create measure for total revenue, so we are going to use this particular fact table, and as well we are going to be using this particular product table using the related function to get values from here. So now that you've understood what it is that we are going to use those two tables for, let us go get started. Inside all measure, so right click, you're going to see new measure here. So I'm going to type in total revenue. So it's going to be equal to shift enter to go into the next line. So using this X now, so we're going to use the sum X, and the sum X is actually requesting for a table. Where is the table we want to actually use to do this? And inside that table we have a column existing called quantity. So it's going to be my fact table, and here we go, our fact table. with comma, let me just step this down. Just want to make sure you understand this. So comma, and what is the column or the expression? The expression is going to be quantity sold. Can you see it right here? Quantity sold. So we are going to multiply this using the related table. You get that? So I just want to organize my measure so that we can read it well. So I'm going to use the multiply function, multiply right here. So multiply, and we're using that function called related. So inside this related, we're going to actually, try to get into the table where we have all our prices right in. So we just have to type in price. And when we type in price, we can see we have cycles product unit price, cycle product unit price, and unit cost. Now for the price, this is the price that we are actually selling the product. And for the cost, this is the cost that we actually purchased the product with, right? So we are actually calculating for revenue. Definitely we are going to need to use the unit price right here. That is all we have to do. Shift enter, close this, and that shift enter, have this closed, and that actually ends the conversation right now. So we are done from here. The next thing I'm going to do is for me to make sure I copy and hit your enter, or you check it right here, and you would have your total revenue created. So we have just gotten our first measure created. The second measure, you can click right here to have it inserted. So we are calculating for cost of goods sold right now. So I'm gonna calculate for cost of goods sold. So we don't need to do anything. So we've just pasted this in here, and all we have to do is to change one aspect of it, and that is going to be this particular part right here where it says unit price. I'm going to say price again. So, and now we are going to actually use the unit costs. So here we have the unit cost here, and if I hit my enter, it creates something different for me. So we can just bring our revenue right here. So I'm gonna shut this down. So I want to have this on a card. So this is the total revenue we have without any filter. So what I want to do right now, just for we to create something, the kind of the dashboard we want to create is to calculate revenue for last month. You get it? And how do we do that? Very simple. Click here and go to new measure. So I'm gonna have to just type in last month revenue. So equal to shift. So I'm gonna use the calculate function here. Calculate. So inside the calculate function, we're going to pass in the measure we've just created. And to get to your measure with ease, just your square bracket will give you all the measures we have right now. We just have 2 measures created, and we're actually onto the third one now. So get this particular total, revenue right here. So with your comma, so it's requesting for the filter. So I am going to use the function called date add. So the date add will definitely be looking for the date. So I'm gonna go with my calendar date right here, passing the calendar date. So comma, so just make sure you have your comma right here. And now number of interval is what it is that we need to give to it right now. Shift enter. I'm gonna say -1, just 1 month back, and that is exactly what it is. And if I say comma right now, it gives me the list of if I want 1 day ago, 1 month ago, 1 quarter ago, or just 1 year ago. So I just need 1 month. So you can actually come right here and select the month, but I might want to keep this in the next line. Shift enter to have this dropped to the next line. So this is all we need to do. Shift enter. So I'm gonna have to close. Shift enter, then we have to close the calculate function as well. So this will definitely make our code to be some kind of well organized and easy to read. So now whoever actually received this now will definitely know what we have done for the calculation. So for calculation, we use this particular measure we have created previously before now, that is the total revenue. And for date add, we try to actually branch out to see from this particular total revenue, we want to see revenue for last month, and we use the calendar table, and we pass in how many months of view what we want to see, just 1 month. So if you want to see 2-3 months, you can actually change this right here, and you can as well make this dynamic. Don't worry, we're going to do something similar to this, and you would know how to actually get this done to make it some kind of dynamic and not to be changing it from here every single time. So we have gotten this. What we need to do right now is to Control C to copy, and we have to insert a new measure. I'm gonna actually have to paste this right here. So, and this one here is gonna be cost of goods sold for last year. So if you want to do that, so all you just have to do is just for last month cost of goods sold, and that is all you have to do. And you have to change this particular part of the measure. So you have to bring in the total cost of goods sold right here, and that will definitely give you the value that would be some kind of peculiar to the previous month. So once you have done this, let us see, this is the whole revenue, and now we want to see for the previous month that we've just created. And if I select this, it should give us different value. So right now we have similar value because no filter is being passed in yet. So let us go to this part here and have our slicer inserted. And inside the slicer, we're going to need a calendar table. So I want to get this date right inside it. So now if I select here, so can you see what we have? So we have the whole, value for this particular for the revenue for the whole product that we sell, and this is the previous month, that is the last month. So you can see it's changing, and we're having different value. Can you see it right here? So it's something different. So we're going to use this to actually create our KPI card. Very important. So now that we've gotten this, we still have to actually create more measures before we definitely finally go and create our KPI card. Let us actually add more measures. So now we have this right here. I'm going to make sure it stays right here. So the next thing now is for you to calculate our profit margin. Very important. Profit margin. So for the profit margin, just type in profit margin. So it's going to be the revenues, which is total revenue, subtracted from what? From cost of goods sold. Don't use the last month, you're using the first one we've created. That is exactly what it is. So this gives us our profit margin. So don't forget to actually format this immediately. So I'm just going to go ahead and format this with the dollar, number formatting. So you can use any currency you want to use, and make sure you have this on 0, and that will definitely give you what you want. So you have to do it to every part of it. So I'm going to format this, and now if I have it formatted, you will see what we're going to have right on our card. So previously, before now, we've not actually formatted it. It's very, very important for we to do that. So do that to every part of it, and you'll be good to go. So now we've gotten this done. So if we want to create for last month profit margin, now all we can do is just to copy this away from here, because before now we've known how to create it. And we just have 2 changes to make: the title, last month profit margin. And now we come right here, instead of we having total revenue here, so we're going to have our profit margin right there, and that will actually complete the whole thing for us. So before we finally create our KPI, we have one more measure to create, and that is what's going to actually help us to aggregate how many of those products we've sold over time. So inserting the measure right now will be a very simple one indeed. So I'm going to say quantity. So quantity sold equal to, so using the sum function here, So we just want to see quantity, and we have what? We have fact table with the quantity sold. And that is all we have to do. We hit our enter key. And after this, we are going to create for quantity sold last month. So insert a new measure right in. So we just have to turn this one to the new measure we've just created. And that is going to be quantity sold. And now we just have to last month quantity sold. So if I hit my enter, that will give me everything I need. So we're going to be creating more measures than this, but now we're going to stop it right here to create our first KPIs first before we actually move further. So for the quantity sold, we're just going to use this, comma separator because it is not actually, all right. Let us create our first KPI card. So here we have the KPI card right here. All we have to do is to click on it and have it inserted. So we've just inserted our first KPI card. So in order to populate this, I'm going to actually give it a focus mode. So now let us start with the quantity, sold. And here we have the quantity sold. For the quantity sold, we're going to actually have it on the indicator part here. So this wouldn't do anything. So if I hover over this information icon here, so we can see fields for both value and trend axis are needed. So they are all required. So now, if you remember, we created this particular column when we did create our date table. So called start of the month. So it's what we're going to use now. I'm going to drag it to this particular trend axis. And now we have this. So the next one is actually the targeted goals. So the last month quantity quantity is what we're going to need to have right here. And that will definitely tell us if this is positive or negative. So this is how we can actually create our KPI. And this is our first KPI. So let us actually get this particular KPI card duplicated, and just you can use Ctrl+C and do that. I'm going to duplicate it as many, just like 4 good times. So this is the third one, and I need one more. And here is the last one, the fourth one is going to be right here. So for this particular one, before we start formatting this, I have to, get my, revenue right here. So remove the quantity and just leave the, start of the month right here. So I'm getting my total revenue. And revenue last month, I'm going to drag it right to the goal expert here. And this is what I have. So if you're not having the same thing I have like this now, that was because you have not some kind of formatted the measures rightly. Make sure you format the measure to either a $sign or any currency of your choice. And as well, the quantity should be having a comma separator. That is what can fix the way you have the value show up right here. Now here is for revenue. And now this is going to be for our profit margin. So we have to get this off, and we have to get this off, and we have to bring in our profit margin. And for profit margin last month, we just have to drag it right here. Can you see that right now? This is what we have. And this is the last one here. We have not created the measure that is going to actually, power this particular, KPI visual. That is going to be the percentage of profit margin. How do we do that? Very simple. Let us go ahead and insert a new measure. So make sure you select those measures and insert a new measure. So here is going to be percentage of profit margin. So we're going to be using the divide function. So divide total revenue. Here we have it, total revenue. So we're going to have to subtract it from, cost of goods sold. And that is going to be the numerator. And the denominator right here is going to be my total revenue. And that will definitely give us what we want. So now we've actually calculated our, percentage margin here. So if I hit enter. Okay, don't forget you can just use the already created measure because already we've gotten our profit. We can pass it in right here, but I just feel like doing it this way. It's okay. So now we've gotten this, so we have to format it. We have two ways of formatting this percentage. So we can either click on the icon, or you can select this and select percentage, and you can show how you want your percentage to show, maybe with 2 decimal points or with just 1 or no decimal places at all. So whatever it is that you want. So we just have to locate it again. I want to change this one to just 1 decimal point. So hit your enter key, and now we have just gotten this created. So this particular last month we've created, I believe you can do that by now. So we don't have to do this from the scratch again. I copy. So I create a new measure and create measure for, our percentage profit margin. So here we're gonna have to go and take last month percentage. Here, that is exactly what it is. So we change this measure. Change the measure to this particular one here, and once we hit enter, so we just have to format it. So we've just gotten this created, so it is time for me to populate this, and we just have to remove this, have this removed, and we just bring in our percentage. And now the last month here, I'm gonna drag it right in. So we have this. So by the time we start playing with this, you can see it's changing, and this is what it is that you should know. When we have, the sales to be good, it turns into green. If it's not really good, it turns into red, and this is what it is. You don't need to do any other custom formatting to have whatever you want, being achieved. So this is what it is that you want. So the next thing now is for we to actually see how we can actually format this rightly. That is all we have to do. So let us get on that part. So first of all, I want to use the same height for all of them. All I have to do is to actually select all the visual. So go to this particular format here and go to general, go to property, and now we can change the height from here. So we are using 121, so we have the same height for all of them. So I am going to move it, and I have a space like this. So this is what it is that I want. So we can still move it to the top a bit. So let us just some kind of select it. So we're going to still do more formatting after this now, but something like this would be very cool for me. So nicely done. So it is time for we to format this individually. So we just come here, and now we go to general. So we want to come to this particular effect and turn off the background. So once we've done that, I'm going to actually come to the title here and change this to quantity sold. So this is what we have. So I want to go here and make sure it's in the middle. So I want to change the text to something like this. I love something like this. That is nice for me. So I just love this kind of formatting. I can copy it and have it for this. Copy the same formatting and have it for this. So make sure you select it. And for this. So now let us format this. So we come to this same place, go to title, and now we'll remove everything that has to do with this, and what we need to keep is just total revenue. And profit margin is what we want to keep it, and here we need the percentage of profit margin. So we just get every other thing off, and we have this. So this is how we just, arrive at something like this. So here we're gonna have to some kind of make sure we move this. Okay, nicely done. So we have something like this. This is the great formatting we can do to have what we want. So click on this and make sure you turn off the background as well, because when we create our template for it, we don't want any background to be right on it. So we have taken off the background right now. So we can decide to just make sure we move this a bit. And here we go, we have it to leave right. The next phase of this dashboard is this particular visual we have right here. So it responds to whatever filter we have, placed on it. Can you see that? So it's responding to whatever filter we have and it changes accordingly. So how do we get this kind of custom visual? Because we don't have it right here and it's not actually on the marketplace as well. So to do that, let's just actually go back here. So here we are. So first of all, we have to understand the column and the table we're going to need to use for this. So click on this particular region and here you go, you have it. So we're going to use this particular continent for it. So what we need to do for the first time, I'm going to come right here and insert a table. So if you want to close every single tables you have opened, all you have to do is to make sure you collapse it right here and you open it back and everything just get closed. So you can open your desired one, which is this one. And I am going to bring in my continent here. So we have this. Can you see it right now? So it is time for we to get the measures. So what we want to use is revenue because we have target we want to meet and we want to see if they really meet the target. So we don't want to use default chart to do that. So I'm going to show you this and see how you can actually apply the same thing right on your personal project. So what you can do now is just for we to come to this part here. So we're going to organize this measure in different, folder. But before then, let's see this. So all I'm going to do right now is to actually insert a new measure. In this new measure, we want to calculate revenue for every single, continent we have, like Europe, North America, and the other one. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to say Europe. So Europe revenue. So it's going to be equal to Shift Enter. I'm going to use the calculate function. So we have to bring in our revenue here. So we can just type in the square bracket and have the revenue. So comma, Shift Enter. So we're going to use another function called keep filters. So with the keep filters, we want to pass in the expression, which is the column inside our, I'm going to type in continent right here. Okay, let's just type, okay, I think that table is called region. So inside region, we have what we call continent. Can you see it right here? So you go ahead and select that. So I'm going to say, just try to look for where it is equal to Europe. So make sure the spelling is correct, else you're going to have, a weird value or an error. So Shift Enter to close your calculate, and I just want to make it right. So something like this would be cool. So right now, if you understand what is going on right here, we actually use calculate function, and the next thing we use keep filter, and we pass in the table and the column from the table, which is continent, and we try to actually get a value calculated for just Europe. So let's see what that does. If I hit my enter key right now, that should give us what we're looking forward to see. So quickly, you just have to follow up and some kind of format this nicely. I always love to use Redecimal, don't use auto for me. So once we are done with this, I just want to test it out to see what it is that we've created, if this is working or not. So I just have to insert a card and we have to put it in right here. So you can see it's 63 million, right? It's working. So the next thing to do now is to actually duplicate this code we have here. Control C or Control A, Control C to copy. And once we actually create a new measure, we paste the code we've just kind of copied. So here we go. So instead of we using Europe, I can use another continent. So, and we come right here and change this as well. I told you, make sure it's correct. So that is all you have to do. And once you hit your enter key, it will definitely get this created for you. So nicely done. So quickly do the formatting and all that. So now insert a new measure. So this one for North America. So we just have to change the parts here. So here we go. So we have to make sure it's correct. And once we are done with that, we hit enter and quickly format it. So we have just gone through the first step, and the next step right now is to actually see how we can use what we've just created to create the kind of chart we want to create. So I'm going to turn this chart into a donut chart, and this is what I have. Can you see this? This is what I have. So I'm going to leave it this way. So when we look through, all the tables we have right here, so we do not have any table that actually specify the target. So let's say the company gives you $50 million as a target to be used to actually have this chart created. So what do? You have to create a measure for that. And how do you do that? Come right here and insert in your measure and just create a measure for that particular cost. So we're going to name this measure as targeted measure. So here we talk about $50 million. So it's going to be equal to 50 million US. So just hit enter. That's all you have to do. So you can have it formatted into a dollar just like other values. So we've gotten our target right here. So we've gotten our target, and this time around, it is time for we to see how we can use that to get our chart created. So let us get more deep into this. So we are going to insert a new measure, and here we go with new measure. So we're going to rename our measure to Europe versus target right here. So don't forget we created a targeted revenue, right? So equal to shift enter. So I'm going to use variable to do this. So variable targeted revenue, or you can actually use, underscore and pass in the revenue. So revenue. So what we want to do right here is going to be equal to, we store in the targeted revenue. So here we go. Targeted measure, no. We have a targeted revenue, of course. So to verify it right now, what we need to do is just to make sure we cut this away from here and we cancel it. We don't want to actually confirm that. So I'm going to go with this. Maybe we got it wrong. Oh, sorry. We should have used revenue, not measure. Instead of measure, I'm going to use revenue. So revenue. So hit my enter key right now. So we can create back the one we are creating. So by inserting a new measure and pass in what we have just cut off from it. So here we go. So we've created the measure name to be, Europe versus targeted revenue. So we have to actually store this. So inside this particular variable we've created right now, so we want to store this particular measure right here, which is targeted revenue. So do that and just type in your target. And here we go, we have targeted revenue. And we're going to create another one here, shift enter. What we need to do here now is just for it to bring in our revenue for what? For Europe here. So Europe underscore revenue equal to, and if I type in my Europe, I have my Europe revenue here. Hope you're paying attention. So shift enter, and we have to create our third variable. We're going to call this variable to be variable results. So variable results here, we're going to have to subtract targeted revenue. So here we go from Europe revenue. So here we go. Can you see it right now? So we just made use of the, of this particular variable and this variable right here. So what we did was the result should be, subtract whatever we have on integrated revenue from Europe revenue. So, and we have to return the results. Shift, enter. So I'm going to type in here, return, shift, enter. So we're going to be using if condition to do this. So with the if, we're going to say if our result, so this is the result. So that is the name here. Well, I can actually name it something like variance underscore result. So we have to come here and change it to variance underscore result for you to understand it. So don't actually use any of your variable name to look like a custom or function inside Power BI. So now we have variable result. So if this particular variance here, which is this variable here, so we have already used those two variables inside here. We don't need to call this again. So we are calling this again. If it is greater than or equal to 0, I want you to return variable, or this variable, which is called variance result here. Else, just give me 0 and go ahead and close the if. That is all we have to do, and I'm going to actually have to hit my enter key. So you should have understood what it is that we've done right here, because we are not going to be creating this for other continent again. We just have to copy this same DAX and have it right on the other part of it. So now we have to pass in this particular one we've just created inside here. So if you look at it right now, it goes according to what we have specified here. So if this is not true, it should display 0, and it's going to be blank. Nothing is going to be displayed as a value, and that is exactly what it is right now. You can see it doesn't really add up to anything. So let us play around with our filter here and see what it is. Can you see it right now? Can you see what I'm talking about? So this is what it is. So we do not want this to be like this. So we want to create a blank space for it. So now we are going to separate, Europe revenue from, target, and whatever is left is going to be the blank side. So once we created this, you would understand what I'm talking about. So here I'm going to actually select this and create a new measure. So we are going to name the measure to be Europe blank space, and look at what we're going to do. So we want to say Europe revenue. So we add up that to that of Europe targeted versus revenue. So we need to have open and close bracket here. Open, then close bracket. So we're going to multiply this by 1/3. So open bracket again, 1/3. And once we close this, so we hit our enter key, that will definitely create the blanks, space for us. So we've done that. So what we need to do right now is to click right here and drag in this. So we've gotten our blank space. So from here down to here will give us what? You should give us the target of $50 million US down to this particular spot right here. But right now what we have is that we did not meet the target. That was why we have this particular space, and we want to keep a blank space here. So we've just created that. That was the last or the last measure we've written, and that was how we just got to create this one here. So this one we have right here. So we have the blank space, and that was how we did it. Let's see how we can actually get this formatted. So now we've gotten this. What we need to do right now is to actually have this formatted, and we're going to name this one Europe, right? So we don't need any of this title, axis, and even the tooltip and all of that. We just want to go ahead and get it off. To do that, we have to come here, and now first of all, let us move the data label off it. So the legend, we have to turn it off. So now it is time to come right here and make sure we turn off the tooltip, because when we hover over it, we don't want to see anything right on it. You get it? So now we should know. Okay, let us go back. Okay, first of all, let us turn our background off. That is done. So come back here, turn on the legend here. So this is the blank, space here. I want to go ahead and go to slicer. For the blank space, we have it. We just want to put it on white. Now you have the idea, right? Now for this part is the target. So I want to use something like this. Can you see that? Maybe if I use something darker, you will definitely see it right. So here is what we have. And now for this one, we can decide to see what color we want to use. So if I select this right now, you see it's moving. This is what we actually, achieve. So we want to know if this is up to 50 million US dollars for you to actually get the full understanding of what you're trying to do right here. Before then, we have to clear everything we have right here. And as well, we have to turn off the title. We have something like this. I can now go ahead and move this off, or I can decide to still leave it right here for now for some reason. So what I'm going to do is just to actually insert a new card. And I'm going to bring in my Europe revenue here. So I want to go back again and insert a new card. I want to bring my targeted revenue right here. So it's 15 million. So is it up to? No. So can you see? We still have, more ways to go. Can you see it up to this end before we can achieve that? And once it is above 50 million US dollars, it stops, accumulating, and it stops right here. So we can only see the value that, okay, the target is above, and we're going to use color to actually get that communicated. So if I just do this, can you see? So now let us do this and see. Can you see? Above it, and it stops right here. It doesn't really extend to this side because already we've decided what color we want to have for the 1/3 of the chart. And that is how we got the script. Before we do any formatting, let us create for other part of the continent like North America and this particular Pacific right here. So to do that right now, we don't have to do this over and over again. All we have to do is to actually go through what we have done here and actually create, the same thing by copying and paste this. First of all, we have to get the sales or the revenue. So we copy this and we just make a little tweak, and that is all we have to do. I believe by now you must have understood how to get things done with ease without you having to write the same code over and over again. So here we paste it right in. So all we have to do is just to change here to, and we can just copy, or we type it in again, this for this part here. So make sure you don't have a space, so you close it, and that is all you have to do. So once you hit your enter right now, it creates for this. So we have, okay, have we gotten this created before now? Let's just look at that. It's saying rename measure, so which means we have something like that. Oh, okay. Let's see. It seems we've done this before. I'm gonna actually cancel it. Let's check it out. I'm seeing something here. Okay, this had been done before. So what we have not done is the blank and the Europe versus targets right here. So let us just go ahead and copy this. Ctrl C, and now we can paste it in right here once we actually create our new measure. So go ahead and paste it. And now let us watch to see what I'm going to change. I'm changing here. So once I've changed there, instead of me to have this targeted revenue, okay, yeah, this one is actually static. So instead of me to have this Europe, I'm going to have to change the measure name as well too. And that will definitely affect here. So I have to come change here. So that is all. So now the next thing is for me to change the revenue I have right here. So it has to be pointing to the same, revenue. So here we go. We have the revenue here. That is all we have to do. For this part here, it's the same thing. hit your enter key and make sure the measure name is being changed. You're going to have what it is that you're looking forward to having. So the next thing again is for me to create for North America, the same thing. So make sure you actually go ahead and insert a new measure. So pass the same measure in here and change here to North America. So we change this particular part here. So North America revenue, and we're changing this. So in the easier way, we can just copy. We can't copy because we have to make sure we have, underscore for it. So I can just use not a, so it's not compulsory. We can change this part here. Something like this, not underscore. You're right. So if I hit my enter key, it should give me that. And now we are creating the blank space for every one of them. So now we click on Europe blank space, which is this one here. I'm gonna copy, Ctrl C. So now insert a new measure. So if I paste it in right now, all I need to change is this one here, not this, because this one is going to be static for every single continent. So I'm going to change this part here. So delete it, and the square brackets, you are going to actually change it to this, and you're changing this from Europe. So we've gotten this ready. So hit your enter key. So we don't need any number formatting right on this. So we just go here. So we paste the same thing inside here. We're doing for North America. So we come right here and change the measure to North America. And we check the revenue. So once we hit enter, that will definitely give us what it is that we are actually looking for. So the next thing now is that for those ones here, I think I don't need those ones for now. I can get it off and create what I want to create. So now I'm gonna have to copy and paste this twice. I'm gonna move this. I'm gonna move this as well. So I want to move this to this end. So I'm going to move this to this part here. So this one is already done. So that is okay. So I'm going to click on this one and remove whatever I have right here. So I'm taking Europe off, Europe blank space. I'm taking it off. So right now, this is going to be my North America. So remember and see where we position everything right, because we're not going to be using legend for anything right here, but we have to know which is which. So we are going for Europe. So we just have to go for where you have it. So Europe, North America rather, because we already stepped off from Europe. So we're going to North America. So for North America, so we can just some kind of move this and we can see what we have right here already. So North America revenue, we get it. The target. And as well, we have this space. So which means we've made the target. So let us see this. Can you see what I'm talking about? So this is what it is. So this one is for North America. So if you want to be sure if that is for North America, you can always come right here and you play around with this, go here and put on the title and see what it gives you. It gives you North America revenue. So we don't need it. We want to turn it off, and we can come right here, go here, and this one is going to be on white, while this one that actually tells you if you have met your target or not will be on this color. And now this is going to be the next one. So we go right here and we take off every single one away from it. And here we go for this revenue, the target here, and the blank space So we have this. So quickly we format it to what we want. So we go, we make sure we put it on white, and we change this to this color. Nicely done. So we've gotten this. We're not going to use something as dark as this. We're going to change it to net Jiffy, but before then we just want to use something like this. So let us actually come and match our colors before we definitely do the right formatting that we can do to give us what kind of chart we want to be seeing on our dashboard. Let us quickly correct one error right here. So we can go to our Europe, blank space here. So if you look at it, we tried to actually add Europe revenue to that Europe versus target, revenue right here. But we didn't do that when we got to the North America and others. So now we can see North America revenue plus Europe. So it's going to give us, a value we are not going to like to work with. So I'm going to get it off. It's going to be not, just go ahead and do this, change it. So North America versus target is what you want to have right here. And if I hit my enter right now, it should have that corrected for me. So there'll be changes automatically. Can you see it has fixed this? So we have to go to the next one, the blank space here. So we want to change this one instead of we using the Europe. So we made that mistake. So sorry for that. Get it off. And here we go. So we're going to go with what? With this. And look at it. If I have my enter hit right now, you can see it's going to actually take effect as well. So now it's shifted a little bit. You wouldn't say it, but it's something very mingy. But without we some kind of fix this, it will definitely render us into a very huge error. So that is what I want to have some kind of addressed right in this part of the tutorial. Select on the color of these particular charts. I already have my custom color for every single continent. So I'm going to copy this particular Europe color code. So come right here, and already I've turned on my title. So just go to general, and here you see it's on off. So turn it on to see what it is that you're doing. So come back to this visual and go to slices right here and change the color to this particular color code. So here we go. So the next one is for me to come back here and copy for this particular continent here, and say copy. And I'm gonna actually make sure I have the chart selected. So come right here and have it changed. So that is better. So the next one is just this particular, North America. Copy the color code, or you can type it in, whatever it is. So just make sure you have it selected. And here we go. And I'm gonna paste it right here, and that will definitely give you this. All right, one caution please. Make sure whatever colors you're going to use for this will definitely be color that would match your dashboard. Don't select black, red, and green. That is going to be some kind of color riot, so you don't have to do that. Use any color that correlates with each other to do this. All right, that we have done this now, we just have to make our arrangement. I'm going to have to widen this. So we just have to widen this as well. So I want to make sure this one is sent to back. So what I'm going to do right now is just to make sure I have it clicked on. Go to the top and make sure you select this and send to back. It's very important to do this. So we select this one right now. It's going to be in the front of this here. So we want to make sure we are really saturated with the size of the chart. And if I bring this one right here, this is what you have. Can you see it right now? So you can go ahead and resize this just like this. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is for me to click on this one here. I want to change the size of the chart. Go to slices and click on spacings. And now instead of 65, I want to put it on 85. So I have something like this, 85. I can now click on this top one here. Then I can just some kind of, do this and do this as well. So we just have to do this again. So now we're gonna put this one, go for the spacing. Let us have this one on 80 and see what we have. So 80 gives us something like this. That is nice. So I can go with 80. So I love the spacing between them. So the next one is for me to click on this. And when you click on this right now, you want to make sure this one is actually at the top of all of them. So go to Format and just click on this and say Bring to Front. So now we can go ahead and have this right here and reduce this a bit. So now let us have this one on 73, and that is okay. So 73 is fine. So I think we just have to reduce this a little bit to create some kind of inner spacing between the charts. So you can just do it, and once you're cool with what you have, so you can let it go. So I want to go with something like this. If the spacing is too much, you can always, try to work, with what you have. You can just manually adjust it. So something like this. So I'm gonna click on this one here. So just take your time to do this. Sorry, we actually clicked on the wrong one, which is this one. So now I am really cool with what I have. So we want to remove these particular titles we have right here and have it replaced with something different. So all I have to do is to go to this particular text box we have here. Inside the text box, I want to type in my Europe. So Ctrl A to have it highlighted. So make sure it's actually under 12. So we select area black and we change the color to something like this. So we can just go ahead and make it this way. So I want to make sure I move it. So now what we can do is to deselect and have this selected. This is the first one, the bigger chart. It's actually the one for Europe. I want to go ahead and turn off Europe and go to General and turn off the title. Now you have this. Don't worry. So once you get this, have it right here. So now we have one problem, which is the problem of, background. So go ahead and just turn off the background for it. That is okay. So we can make sure we go back here and have it selected again. And manually we have to arrange it and make sure it is like this. So we can just kind of move this, and we have to duplicate this into 2. So here we go. I'm gonna move this right here. So go get the next one. So move this right here. So now we have to type in the next one. So before we actually get it right there, so we have to select the chart. So it's very easy if you do the same arrangement I've done. So just go right here. Can you see what it is? So now we can get the chart title. So manually you can some kind of adjust it by moving this down a little bit. So now the last one is this one here, which is North America. So we have to some kind of open it up. Just deal with the width. Here we go. So now we can come here and select the inner one and go right here and turn off the title. We now have something like this. So we can now move this and have this right here. So manually we can just play around to get this one the way it should be. So this is how we've just gotten something like this created. So we're not done yet. So we have to put in the value for every one of it. But before we do that, let us insert a card to have the, we want to have the target right here. So I'm going to go with targeted, revenue. So there we have it. So come here and change, get this off. come here. So we want to go with effects, then deserve, and now we go with the title, turn the title on. So target. So for my targets, I want to select something like this. Let us use 16 and see how 16 is going to look like. So make it bold. So we select a different font. And we just scroll down a bit. We do this. So you can just go ahead and make sure we have something like this. So I'm gonna have to move this and let it be right here. So right now I have to go and work with the callout value. So I'm gonna put this one on 35. Will be cool. And we can decide to make it bold and come right here and use something like this. Sorry, it's too, yeah. We are cool with something like this, right? I don't really like this. Let us use something as calm as that one I just got this selected. So select any one of your choice, that will be very, very okay. So I think I love something like this. So nicely, we have gotten the target ready right here. So what is left right now is to get every single, continent right here. We want to get to know what is the revenue generated that doesn't really make us to meet our target. You get it?